Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Crypto at the Ferrum Roundtable. I'm Tom from the marketing team here at Ferrum.network. And please welcome Abdul, who's the co-founder and CEO of Goracle. Hey.
Hey everyone,
Hey.
thanks for having me. Exciting to be here.
Yeah, no, we're excited for you to, well, we're excited to have you here. So that's wonderful. And hello, Ian. You obviously, guys, you know Ian. Ian's the co-founder and COO of Ferrum.network. Hey, Ian, how's it going?
Good. Hey, everybody.
Hello. Well, I'm super excited. Ian, I know that you are excited too about Abdul being here and for us to have this conversation because we already mentioned Goracle in some of our previous Twitter spaces and our previous community update video that we've shared for January. So yeah, let's just dive right in. Abdul, what can you tell us about Goracle, your story behind Goracle and how you actually founded Goracle?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to answer that. So before Goracle, we were working at Gesic, which is a software development company. We worked with a lot of different projects, but we also focused a lot internally on projects that have the opportunity to grow. One key application we were working on was this sports fantasy betting product. And we were building that on chain and we really needed an oracle for it. We spent several months actually searching for an oracle that fits our use case before realizing, surprisingly, that there really is no oracle suited for low latency, high data, high frequency data. And so we realized a lot of the oracles on the market are just suited towards the current spot price of a cryptocurrency. And most projects are actually building their own oracle, duplicating their efforts. And we realized there's not only a big need for us, that we really need that type of oracle, but that a lot of different projects need it. And so we put the sports project on hold to build this oracle. And we entered it into a hackathon, and we were surprised by the amount of reception and then the hype that it created, because we realized like a lot of people really need this. And so slowly by slowly, that ended up becoming the main focus of Gesic until we actually spun off on its own, and we started calling it Goracle, incorporated it, and just started raising funds, closed the seed round, and from there we've just been in build mode. We started off as Algorand before changing it to something that can be more easily pronounced, Goracle.
Wow, that is pretty cool. So Ian, also I've got a question before we dive into more kind of in-depth topics here. What do you think? Just to make sure the community understands that we've got Abdul here presenting Goracle, and we're going to be discussing this more in depth. Why is that?
Well, so for folks who don't know, we're actually one of the advisors. We're lucky to be one of the advisors to the Goracle project. We've been working with Abdul and his team for, it's probably a year now, or maybe a little less, but it's been a while for sure. And yeah, we've just been helping with them with things related to the fundraise, marketing, community. Anything not really non-technical is where we're trying to lend as much support as we can. We think it's a fantastic project, one of the rare projects that has a genuine use case, real demand for its product. Mainnet is going to be ready at the time the token launches. Really a top tier kind of project, amazing team. So we're just happy to be a part of the journey, and that's basically the little history behind Ferrum and Goracle.
Awesome. So that means that our Ferrum's community will have a chance to participate in the fundraising, right, in the pre-sale.
Absolutely, yes. We've been gearing up towards that for some time now, just putting the piece of the puzzle together. But that opportunity to invest into the Goracle pre-sale round, I think it's really technically called the node sale round, if I'm not mistaken, will be opening up in hopefully the next few weeks. Still some kind of pending last minute items that we just need to check off, so to speak, before we open it up. But it's something that I'm looking forward to investing in. I think it's going to do very well. Not financial advice, but it's one of those projects that, like I said, it's going to have genuine token utility on essentially day one of its launch, because the mainnet should be ready by then. And correct me if I'm mistaken on that, but I think that is the case. And they already have clients, basically that have signed up to use the product. So there's going to be inherent demand for it. I think this is a long-term project. I think this is going to be a company that's going to be in a space for a long, long time, especially as they start deploying their technology on different chains, which is coming in the future. So there's just a lot to like in kind of the short, medium, and long term with Goracle, and we're fully behind them.
Brilliant. Well, Abdul, I'm pretty sure that you're really happy to hear that as well. From your point of view, what do you think, what kind of value Ferrum brings to Goracle right now?
Yeah, from day one, we realized we need as much help as possible to build some of this stuff. Blockchain is a young space relatively, and we wanted to work with people who battle tested and who've been through the ups and downs of the ecosystems that we're going to be participating in. And Ferrum really fit that description. And so some of the areas Ian just mentioned, marketing, fundraising, but also another key one is tokenomics, market sentiment. We've seen how really, really good projects fall short, not necessarily because of technology, but because of the intangibles, the soft skills, the token economy, and things like that. And we've seen projects which doesn't necessarily have great uses do really well because they're so well designed in terms of their tokenomics. And so, working with Ferrum, who has not just incubated and accelerated quite a large number of projects, but advised and even launched some of their own projects, I think their insight has been invaluable in kind of helping us. And we work with quite a few different experts in various fields. We want to make sure that what we're building is solid on all fronts. And Ferrum has been one of the key pillars in helping us do that.
Okay, brilliant. Well, that's why we're here. That's why Ferrum's here. So that's great to hear. Thank you so much for that, Abdul. Now, if you could point out because you already described obviously Goracle and the idea behind it. If you could point out the main kind of value proposition, like the USPs for our community to focus on if they want to dive in and do a little research on their own.
Yeah. So when you're looking at oracles, the question is, what sort of demand can it meet? And we look at what the existing oracles can meet, and I'd say 80-90% of the oracles out there are just providing crypto spot prices, or it's kind of a centralized service that really, somebody should probably build on their own rather than relying on outside centralized service. And so the maturity of oracles is simply not, at the same level as a DEX, or a layer 1 or a layer 2. There's hundreds of those kinds of applications which are done pretty well. But the oracles, every oracle is built a little bit differently, and they're trying to solve the oracle problem, which is probably one of the biggest problems in blockchain, a little bit differently. And what that's resulted in is no clear winner. So reading up on the oracle problem, it becomes pretty obvious that a solution is needed, and there's still no real solution out there today. There's major oracles out there, like really big ones, and they solve the problem by kind of centralizing a lot of aspects of the technology, planning to eventually decentralize. And so kind of being the youngest oracle out there, we've learned so much from everybody who's come before us. And we also incorporated a lot of the technologies that have come out in the last year or two that some of the earlier incumbents have not been able to incorporate quickly. And that's going to allow us to not only provide an adequate solution, but continue to grow. And so the Oracle usage in the market right now is quite low for some of the reasons I mentioned before. We're hoping to change that. We're already working with different projects across a variety of fields. We're working directly with data providers. Data providers want to monetize. They want to get value from what the product they're offering. We're working directly with them. And we're just going to make it so much easier, so much faster for projects to build, because a big part of what they're building has already been done by us.
Okay, well, it sounds solid to me. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, look, it's pretty rare to have a project that is, kind of this early stage from kind of a fundraising standpoint, but to be this far along from a business development and product standpoint. And so, I just go back to the fact that Goracle already has half a dozen, maybe more, clients essentially signed up. Many of which are not even in the crypto space. That's the kind of untapped market for them that I expect they'll, manage to capture a large market share over there. But traditional companies that are looking for this product have already signed up, and then beyond that, from a tech standpoint, to have a test net already live as we speak. I don't know how many Abdul can fill us into how many users have signed up already for the testnet. But then having the mainnet schedule a launch, I believe it's sometime in April. I don't want to speak for Abdul, but to coincide with the launch of the token. So that means that as an investor, you can stake tokens, you can delegate tokens to help run nodes, secure the network, earn rewards in that fashion, knowing that there's going to be genuine demand and that there's still early days. Like this is still, inning one for Goracle, and they're already this far along. It's like kind of astonishing, right? Relative to, compare that to the vast majority of projects that, you invest in them, they talk about there's going to be a product at some point, maybe a year or 6 months after they've launched their token, a shitty product comes out and the project dies. Like that's like the story of like 99% of crypto projects. Goracle went about it very differently, I'd say. Like, establishing demand for this, establishing a use case, even going back to, and I forgot the origin story, but realizing that they needed it themselves. That's usually a great way to determine whether there's going to be demand. It's like, solving a problem for yourself, presumably a problem for others. So establishing that, building the technology, raising funds from a bunch of top tier VCs, particularly the Algorand ecosystem, and then for the retail investor being able to stake secure nodes on day one. I mean, this is all very rare. This is very rare stuff. And so again, not financial advice. Nobody knows how this can perform. Ultimately, you have to do your own research and due diligence and, take that risk, value that risk reward for yourself. But from my standpoint, it's very, very uncommon to have a project this far advanced from those key metrics, but then still be early stage from a raise and, token deployment standpoint. So very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kind of highlight like how that came about, Ian, to go back to the Orange story, we were already kind of a software shop that was developing mobile and web applications. And so a lot of the early personnel were already there. A lot of the business developers were already there. We were using resources because it was an internal project from an existing organization, GESIC. And so that really allowed us to bootstrap and move super quickly. And by the time we were even in front of investors, we already had some of it of a product. So now we're up to about 18 people dedicated to Goracle. And I think having a great team has really been key in getting us here.
Yeah, and I literally just wanted to ask you right now about the dev progress and or the technical progress and the milestones that you're planning to hit in 2023. If you could, just share some ideas in terms of the roadmap.
Yeah, for sure. So, we did do the price pair beta mainnet. That was back in December, and the crypto spot prices that kind of puts us on par with 90% of the oracles out there today. And the full protocol launch coming in April, that's going to supercharge oracles and allow people to call their own data feeds, or also there's a data marketplace of already existing. So you want sports data? Well, you can aggregate across these 7 different data providers, or you can call singular ones. And how a lot of these features are going to be rolled out is going to be over time. But April is going to be the core launch where you can request custom data or aggregated data. Once, we're launching specifically on the Algorand blockchain because that's where the most demand is in terms of not having an oracle. Algorand has been one of our key supporters from day one. They're also one of our, grant providers and investors. And so, because we're going to be able to monopolize on Algorand, test it out, make it battle-proof on there. And once it's secure, ready, and it's got a lot of traction, and we've kind of monopolized that space, we're going to be moving on to different chains like Cosmos and so on over the coming year. There's a lot of projects out there, Sui, Aptos, that really need oracles right now. And so our focus is, looking at where we can create monopolies, looking at where we can create value, such as these blockchains, and being early movers. I think we are well positioned as a nimble team to quickly build and launch on different blockchains, and when we're launching on these chains, a lot of people look at, this oracle's there or that oracle's there. A key thing for people to look at when evaluating oracles is what services does this oracle provide to its customers? And usually you can go onto their, services offered page or their app page, and you can see, if it's just spot prices versus much more richer volumes of data, you already know, okay, well, that, the offering's not there, and maybe it's just a high project compared to an actual project that has significant use cases across different industries. And so once we start moving off to different chains and not just putting any product on a chain just to say we're on that chain, but an actual usable product, then we're going to focus on scaling. And so, we're going to provide things like off-chain computation. Now you want to run some data, you don't need to use like an AWS backend. You can actually use Goracle as your kind of intermediate computation layer, and that's coming out early next year. You can do things such as using Goracle as a storage layer. We have all these nodes with great capacity, and there's going to be sub networks where, hey, I have tons of data, expensive to store on the blockchain. I can store it on these Goracle nodes. And that's kind of similar to what Filecoin does. And we're going to be able to capture such a large number of advanced use cases like indexing and subgraphs, all with just that one token across different chains. It doesn't make sense for a project to use one for their computation, another one for their file storage, another one for their oracles. This just kind of integrates a lot of that into one. And that's going to be the developments coming out next year. Once we kind of dominate the Oracle and the data stuff, we're going to expand into that. And I think being well positioned to capture a lot of that value, especially as blockchain grows and people are using it for more advanced products.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it really seems that, a lot of processes you actually got really well thought out right now. And well, I'm super impressed with the way you present in Goracle. This actually sounds incredible. I've got to ask a question though. What are the biggest challenges that you think you're going to be facing in the near future? And how did you identify them, and how are you going to work around them?
Yeah. I mean, one of the challenges generally, I think, in the general blockchain space is moods and sentiments of different people based on what's happening in the general space. There's always these hacks, bankruptcies, scams that are happening, and it doesn't just affect the users of the platform. It affects them primarily. The people who lose money in these things can be really turned off from crypto and may never come back. But in general, it makes people a lot more cautious, but it also prevents people from entering the space. And I think, that's something that is way more general. And, a hack on a blockchain may be limited in scope, but it kind of affects all the projects building on that chain. So that's kind of, we're very bullish that, in the wider sense, a lot of these weaknesses can be overcome. But I think no project is immune to market sentiment, and that's going to be a big one. And just maybe we're launching a big product, but everybody's fearful. That can hamper traction and things like that. But we're a B2B, and so luckily a lot of the projects who are using us are not necessarily looking at short-term volatility. They tend to be much more longer term. They're tending to be building these use cases for their customers, and they know they're going to be volatility, but they're not worried about that because they're much more technical, they're much more aware, and that's going to be the core group. There's going to be the node runners, whether they're institutional, they may be more affected, but ultimately, as these individuals who run nodes see the usage, they're kind of secondary technical people, not as technical as developers, but they're still quite technical and understanding, and validators have been through this for a while. So that's specific to the entire, or that's kind of more general, more specific to Goracle. I think we need to always watch out, as oracles are a key point of attack. And whenever you put out an Oracle product, people are going to look at how much value can I capture by hacking this Oracle? That's why the Oracle problems exist. Customers are going to be, really looking at us with a fine-tooth comb. Why would I want to use your Oracle if it's going to be a key point of attack? They're going to make sure that they do their thorough vetting. And that's why we work with some of the best auditors out there to make sure that what we're building is not just as good as anything out there, but better than what somebody can build themselves. And not just better than somebody can build themselves, but similar, as close to as possible, if not matching the properties of the blockchain we're building on. So for example, Algorand is known to be one of the most secure blockchains. It's never been forked. It's never had any downtime. It's one of the most secure blockchains. And so we need to match that. And one of the things we do is using technologies that are battle tested, like Algorand's consensus mechanism in our code to choose people who are going to be writing the data to the blockchain and certifying the votes. And so it's really hard to hack or attack it. If you can do that, you can kind of hack the layer one itself. So our focus has been on security, and we do that by reusing battle-tested protocols and also introducing innovative ways to keep the data secure. And then working with auditors over the long term, not just audit our product and we're done, but continuously audit it, continuously do penetration testing, coming up with different ways to hack it, and really just focusing on a thorough security protocol.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sold. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this conversation. I really enjoy actually finding out much more about Goracle. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of community members that are watching this video or listening to this episode, and they want to find out more info about Goracle, where they can find you, what are your communities. Yeah.
Yeah, Goracle.io, our website, just kind of gives the high level data, right? Here's our light paper, here's our economic document, which, by the way, we spend a lot of time on. It's pretty in depth. It goes through the different team members. Also, there's a contact form. Usually, when people fill out that form, we try to get back in touch with them pretty quickly to provide individualized service. Our telegrams, our discords, we have incentivized testnet going on. There's a lot of messages going back and forth in there, but we try to make different channels for people to get answers to their questions in some of these social channels. And so, if you reach out to us by DMing us on Twitter, in one of the channels on Telegram or Discord, usually you'll get a response fairly quickly. We've got community mods across those spaces, and just kind of looking through other things people have created. There's a lot of YouTube videos about us that third parties have created. Always kind of do your own research, looking into some of the reports that not just we release, but others release as well. I think those are kind of the main ways reaching out to us. And we'll be doing a lot more AMAs coming up as we get closer to launch. And so, one of our launch partners, Tokensoft, which we're going to be kind of after this round that Ferrum is organizing, is Tokensoft, one of the largest token launch platform. That's going to be a major AMA there. We just did quite a few AMAs with Algorand that can be found. We do a lot of Twitter spaces. So we'll definitely plan a lot more AMAs in the coming weeks, and people can actually ask questions directly for any gaps that they find in their research.
Brilliant, thank you. And all the profiles, all the social profiles and social platforms for Goracle will be available as links in the description. So guys, go and check them out. Now, Ian, Abdul, so what's next in terms of this partnership between Ferrum and Goracle? What can community expect in the near future?
Yeah, so like we mentioned, there's going to be news in the not too distant future on how to participate in one of the early investment rounds of the Goracle Presale. This video will come out. One thing I just want to touch on, with respect to that last question, two things that have really impressed me with Goracle in terms of, one, community engagement and also marketing. So in terms of community engagement, I'm in their channel, just kind of lurking, right? I'm not, I sometimes chime in with a comment here or there. But what I love to see, and it's one thing that I think, if you look at, what are those kind of behavioral indicators that can separate a project that is likely going to do well over the long haul and one that is, not really, is how engaged are they with the community and at what level within the organization. So, to see Abdul in there answering questions, engaging the community. I know he's busy. I know he's working on a bajillion different things, but he's still talking to those people, answering questions when he can, showing that he cares, going one step above and beyond. That's one key indicator to me that Goracle has what it takes to succeed over the long haul. The second thing that's been really impressive to me is, in terms of the marketing, just not having, I'm on, weekly calls with these guys, and we talk about different strategies and so on. But pretty much to the bear market, the strategy was to not spend any money on marketing. Which I think probably makes sense to most people. But even though they spent almost zero on marketing, they managed to grow their community in a pretty astonishing way. And it was all, I think, but mostly around the incentivized testnet. So it was like innovative core piece of their technology, bringing together the community, galvanizing the community, exciting different people, basically growing all their channels organically. Incredibly impressive. Especially when you think about, okay, so they haven't spent anything on marketing. what happens when, Token Soft gets announced? What happens when some PR starts coming out? What happens when influencers start picking up on it and promoting it? So like this is, I mean, early days in terms of, I think, the growth of the community and where the marketing can go. And so I'm just looking forward to, seeing that progress. And of course, again, to answer your question, Tom, we'll be announcing information in the next 1 to 2 weeks about, how to participate, when to participate. It's going to be your standard Ferrum pre-sale process, stress-free. You'll have 3 days basically to contribute. It's going to be based on your holdings. The amount of your contribution is going to be based on your holdings. You can go to the website, Ferrum website, and see the breakdown there. Obviously, the more you hold, the more you can invest in projects. Standard kind of quote launchpad approach, but not rushed first come first serve. If you're not in front of your computer for that 5 minutes, you don't get in. It's you have 72 hours to contribute. So stress-free, relaxed process. We just want everyone who wants to, invest to have that opportunity, and we'll be opening that up in the next few weeks, like I said.
Brilliant, thank you. And Abdul and also Ian, do you have any final thoughts before we end this interview?
Yeah, no, I think we covered kind of the key things we wanted to talk about, Tom. Again, Ian mentioned a lot of what we're working on in terms of the fundraising side. And some of this other stuff is a little bit more long-term, but Ferrum's also got a lot of great technical projects. They got fee staking and a lot of cool interoperability stuff. And on a technological level, we're also working with Ferrum to come up with cool new products. And these are some things that are more long-term, are kind of on the drawing board right now. But we're definitely excited for some cool products that are coming out with Ferrum.
Yeah, I'll just add to that too. One thing we forgot to mention is Ferrum is going to be one of, I guess you could call it like an institutional validator node. One of, I think there's, I don't know how many institutions are involved in that, but we'll be a part of that. And then my understanding is individual, smaller, retail investors can, delegate their tokens, stake their tokens to a particular node, including the Ferrum, the Ferrum node. So that's another way the Ferrum community members, can get involved, stake, secure the network, delegate their tokens, obviously earn rewards for having done that. And you'll be able to do that through Ferrum among other parties as well. So that's going to be something, we'll release more information about, I guess, closer to mainnet. Abdul, I don't know if, I missed anything there. I want to clarify that, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, exactly. Your tokens just don't have to be locked up. We want to put them to work, helping with our consensus mechanism. And so, definitely giving people the ability to use their locked tokens to help with the security thing really helps, because, the main way of attack is gaining a majority of the tokens. And so, that won't even be possible for the first couple of years. And thanks to the community who's going to support us on that. And yeah, Tom, like I said, all our socials were extremely responsive, not just myself, but some great community mods, some great people in our marketing team. We're more than happy to answer questions and across our socials. And as you said, you're going to provide the links, but they can also be found at Goracle.io.
Perfect. Brilliant. Guys, thank you so much. Abdul, thank you so much for being here, for answering all the questions and sharing the ideas behind Goracle. I'm pretty sure that our community is going to be super excited about your project. Ian, thank you so much for joining us as well. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.